and welcome to the CIECAst. We thank you for joining us today. We have a great CIECAst today entitled Inside Recycled Parts and Inventory. Today's presenter is Ginny Weiland, a longtime automotive recycle industry leader, was the first woman president of the ARA, the Automotive Recyclers Association, is an international educator and executive director of the ARA Educational Foundation. She is founder and president of the ARA University. Ginny is a business consultant. She is the first liaison from ARA to CIECA, a member of the CIECA Education Committee, and chair of the CIECA Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee. Please join me in welcoming Ginny Weiland.
Thank you very much, Fred, for the introduction and the opportunity to talk about on a committee that is very close to my business heart, and that's the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee. And I'd like to just share with you how our partnership with CIECA evolved. Fred, can you change to the next slide? And just references that CIECA and ARA have developed a data exchange standardized information platform where together we are sharing the standards being developed on the ARA side and bringing them to the CIECA side through the committee. Next slide, please. CIECA's Inside Recycled Parts and Inventory, we already covered that, and you know who I am. So our mission on the ARA side is that the ARA, which is the Automotive Recyclers Association, has been in its inception, or it's in its 70th year, formed in 1943. It is an international trade association which represents the industry and is dedicated to the efficient removal and reuse of automotive parts and the safe disposal of inoperable vehicles. Next slide, please. CIECA and ARA, we've had a shared mission. It was about making connections electronic and business connections. As we step forward on the ARA side through their e-commerce committee formed in the mid-90s, it was clear that the explosion of internet usage in our industry was just starting to form, and that most of all of our business connection was in an analogical format rather than digital. And the committee started to look at ways to bring those standards, which we were working on, to the next step or forward in an e-commerce format. Next slide, please, Fred. This is the image of the working relationship that CIECA has in its vision as it expands its industry collaboration. And you can see that ARA sits at the forefront on the circle in exchange of the importance that we have and the respect that we have for being part of this explosion through CIECA. Next slide, please, Fred. The CIECA mission, which is clearly stated here, is powered by their members, and CIECA connects your company to the resources that help drive innovation and market growth, create new opportunities for collaboration, and foster the development and adoption of critical industry standards. Next slide, please. The question is, why do we do this? And good question. Our shared mission is to leverage expertise, to leverage developed standards, to leverage implementation tools, to leverage business implementations, and increase recycled parts sales, more efficient processes for those sales, and reduce the risk together. So this is a huge why and an excellent opportunity. Recycled parts, from our perspective, what we have going on, obviously, as Fred indicated in the introduction, I am the first liaison to ARA, from ARA to CIECA, and this has allowed for continuity of stepping as the administrator for the ARA e-commerce to sit on both sides and kind of watch this blend. So we have the blend of products and standards. We have the ARA codes into the CIECA messages, recycled parts specific messaging, and the implementation guides and business cases that have established a growing solid relationship. Next slide, please, Rick. This slide, which was provided courtesy of one of the board members of CIECA, really just spoke so well that we didn't need to recreate it. What is the benefit? What benefits does a standard integration provide? And that is the working relationship ARA has with CIECA. And clearly it reduces requirement efforts. It's easier to implement. It improves delivery time over custom solutions, more cost effective, provides a foundation to share data, and provides an extendable infrastructure for future integration needs. And so our working relationship is actually formed in those models that we just discussed. ARA has identified what we call our products, which are the works of our standards, standard unit of damage card in the industry, defining that we are receiving recycled components in the area of automotive parts. We felt it important that we be able to talk with our customers and also to talk within our own businesses, what I call the front office to the back dismantling area, about the product and what damage would occur. So the damage card is really utilized to identify a spatial relationship. It is not a measurable damage card in that you can split it unit. It just basically says that this area is covered by a credit card and it's 1 unit of damage. So those standards were brought forward as a product on the CIECA side. Standards and codes brochure we did in 2000, and at the time alluded 2009. We started work on it, distributing in 2010 a document or a actual manual brochure that included all of our ARA standards, expectations for what a customer should expect, what a buyer of recycled parts should expect B2B, collision buyers particularly, and what recyclers should expect and as they deliver. So this was part of it. Huge component was our grading of parts. We had developed a standard that allowed for recognition, as I indicated, of what a unit of damage meant, and then from the unit of damage, the occurrence of those, we actually came up with the ABC grades that are used in the industry. So that was spelled out. That brochure was funded for distribution by a donation and carried the name of both CIECA and ARA forward, and over 10,000 copies of that brochure were distributed, many through ICAR training. So it was a signature piece in our relationship. Standards of defining parts, we have worked on all of these are continuing processes because these are living standards. So we have the codes that regard color and the grading standards, and we have notched it up in an effort of defining recycled parts, and here we call it packages, but we refer to those as assemblies. The uniqueness of our product is it is made up of component parts, but there are such assemblies like a door where there are many parts that are involved in the forming of a total assembled door. So we have the uniqueness of defining that. We had a very bulky document that was being worked on by the e-commerce committee for many years with regards to defining, we call it the Recycled Parts Guide, definition and standards of parts, and it was defining assemblies and what we recyclers include when we say that we are selling a component assembly called the door. And does the door come with hinges? Does the door come with a mirror? Does the door have come with a glass? So clearly these are all the questions that the buyer wants to know. The seller and buyer should not assume anything, because that can really burden the estimate and really sometimes pushes our product to the back burner in understanding, and perhaps not decreases our penetration in the marketplace. The next slide, please, sir. This was the cover of the document brochure that I referenced, the joint work of both CIECA and ARA, and I had already spoken to the distribution of that and the wide acceptance. This right now, there is continued demand to have this in a paper document format. We are updating it as new standards have been integrated on our side. and this is in the process of being updated. Will be available in a PDF model for usage throughout. Here is a screenshot of our quality assurance grid. Built on the guidance of an engineering grid, it has taken the component parts that we sell, and it's called the area damage locator. This allows us to speak to our customers and to each other within our businesses, from our sales staff to our dismantlers who are taking apart the vehicles, our inventory specialists who are identifying and using this grid to tell where there is damage. If there is damage in a section, and we can, again, I referenced the door, and we have both front and rear, but I'm looking at the front door. You'll see numbers identifying areas. So if there is damage in the area that is identified as the number 5, and it is 1 unit or 1 credit card, that usually indicates a type. And we go even further in our explanation. It could be a ding, the common occurrence when another, when a door encounters the many other doors that open into it, or other things that happen. So we are actually using a 3-code numbering that can really pinpoint exactly where this damage is, so that the purchaser is aware that it's coming in that way, and it falls to our marketing model, no surprises upon delivery. This is an ongoing training task, because obviously utilizing this and having this in the marketplace, we discovered that we had done all this work, and great, recyclers knew about it. But when the codes appeared up on the screen, when we are doing our e-commerce or printed out on the invoices, which they do, many who are looking at it, it means nothing. So we took a step back to go forward and said, okay, let's train everyone, and then let's go to the information providers. We have a network of third-party information providers, particularly in our yard management systems, and we asked them to please consider this in the process for inventorying a vehicle. We have had independent third-party companies integrate this damage locator into their product too, and this has really helped and alleviated and streamlined a lot of the ordering process. Next slide, please, Fred. Challenges. Yes, there are always challenges with all aspects of doing e-commerce, and obviously, as we're stepping this, and I said we started this process in the mid-90s, and then we can speak to today of the many things that are the deliverables and challenges, is the standards of defining the parts, the documents to accomplish this. This is it's just not good enough to have it in a binder. It has to be digital. Now it's just not good enough to have it digital in one format. It has to be able to be uploaded on every smartphone, on every iPad, or any tools that will be able to carry a digital standard in the marketplace. So facing that challenge, we made the electronic standard jump. I do say without our partnership with CIECA, this may not have happened in my lifetime. With our partnership with CIECA, we stepped into the world of integration and realized that the electronically using CIECA messages, this was not such a huge leap. This was really crossing a bridge. And so the current efforts of defining recycled parts as assemblies is probably our crowning spotlight moment with CIECA, in that what I referenced earlier, the assembly is included, and we took it from the document-bound notebook to a platform of a standard, and actually took it back. We are first and proud to say that we utilized the developed CIECA standards developed in the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee and the Procurement and Materials Committee, and put it into a format that now has a web-based software where you can go in and identify this part digitally, see an image, a generic image, which was provided by one of our third-party management systems. We represent it in 3 ways. We have it under the industry licensed industry identification system, which we call Hollander. and the Hollander number. We have it available from the CIECA code, and that is being populated and upgraded as we speak all the time. And then we have it in the ARA codes and standards. So what when you are able to go in and utilize this software, the ARA actually defines some of the components that you saw on the screen earlier. The actually what is the part, what does it come with, and that's the key here. What does it come with? What is the standard for what comes with it? We have established that standard. What are optional and what are not included? Next slide, please, Fred. Through this standard code list, the integration of code lists with CIECA, the development of new codes, and I will say that the Recycle Parts Committee, Inventory Committee meets weekly, as do many of the CIECA committees that are working towards the standards. And the participation has really been very positive. The invitation and starting of the committee and its inception and approaching CIECA and asking with our need and concern that recycled parts was not front and center in the electronic marketplace of collision. And then CIECA looking and listening to our request and saying that they had one committee that had looked at this but realized that by our appeal that we have a unique set of standard needs that we needed to integrate. CIECA stepped up and formed this committee. We invited all the stakeholders, and that's the CIECA way, and that's great. So we have the Recycle Parts ARA partnership, which again blends us together with products and standards, and that the uniqueness here is recycle parts specific messages, and we have built implementation guide and business cases, and the word solid relationship is an understatement. We have a real working partner relationship. The next slide, please. I referenced the utilization or the actually stepping forward because I know that many times CIECA gets asked, well, where are your standards? And I was one of those individuals who, stepping new into this world of CIECA, asked that question. And I was told that CIECA develops the standards. It does not know where the standards are utilized, does not track them, or does not require a proprietary link. It has a request, obviously, that you do not alter the messages, that you use the messages. But obviously they know that their message standards are going to go into a third-party product, and they want proliferation of a uniform standard. I think it's a wise decision on the behalf of the organizers of CIECA and their board that they took this model forward. So we had the uniqueness of saying, and we're proud to say, that this particular software that you're just seeing a screenshot of is really took the CIECA standards that we helped develop on the CIECA side, and we brought them over and developed this software platform using CIECA standards. We can say that perhaps, and I'm not sure if we're the first to tell CIECA that, but that we are one of the, that clearly CIECA could say, well, this is where our standards are being used in this platform. As you can see here on the screenshot, you can click on, and we have the vehicle section. That really is defining the areas that brake system, cooling system. So these are what we're calling vehicle sections, the doors, the mechanical components. And then we go to a vehicle subsection. This is the actual part that as you identify that I'm looking for a part that's in the cooling system, the subsection is the actual part. It could be the air conditioning condenser. Part type name, you can go in by the name. So you can say that, okay, I'm in this subsection, and here is, as I said, you could type in the air conditioning condenser. If you're in the industry, recyclers get to talk numbers, and so they are definitely familiar with the Hollander numbering. And again, this is identifying the section of a Hollander numbering, not the finite part type number. And then comes, we included in here identifying some of the other inventory innovation that's going on. Car part does have an ID. When that's available, we do show that. Next slide, please. Here is what I referenced. When you click on, this is what you will see. Here's the AC condenser. In the vehicle section, it's under heating and AC system. Subsection is the AC system. It seems to be very elementary in nature. I can tell you that, and you can't see me smiling, but I am smiling because this is a standard that we knew about. We all talk it, but it has never been laid out quite this way. And then comes the Hollander number, which again identifies this system's number, which is that 679. The car part ID uses the CON as a code number. We have then the ability to click and see a CIECA code if there's a unique CIECA code to this. And you ask, what's a CIECA code? Well, CIECA is working with many stakeholders in a building codes. When we step to the CIECA side and we're first saying, okay, we want to share part type codes, it was amazing the things that were residing with CIECA being delivered from different types of third-party vendors. So what has happened is there's really been an acceptance on CIECA to say, okay, we don't have these. Let's see if they will step forward. They do it on their governance, on their side for the approval, step back with us and work. The ARA code there is mechanical. So this is defining how we put it. And then you say, as you look at this slide, you see what's included. This seems pretty basic, but this is critical to a sale. The expectations of, well, I thought I would get this, or I'm sending this back because you didn't send this, is a reality in all of our sales on the recycled parts side. So here it says you will get what is included, and obviously it references a core. We're saying that you'll have the the actual core unit, the brackets, any tubes that are permanently affixed to the condenser. What you won't get are any electrical sensors, switches, valves, the dryer, the filter, the shroud, and the cooling motors. As you know, when this component is residing in the vehicle, these could be attached or added or on them or part of the system, but they each stand separate in the value stepping forward. So we want to make that clear. And then there are some comments, and this is again the reference to what we are doing and what we are recommending. And this is good too in enhancing the experience of buying a recycled part, making sure that the seller is aware that flush the AC system, change the dryer, conform with the refrigerant, and we identify the different refrigerants. And these refrigerants, we just tell the buyer, and obviously in the collision industry they're aware of this, but we do sell directly to people who are repairing their vehicles, the consumer. This is the internet-based e-commerce, so we're telling them that you cannot interchange these, so know what refrigerant you need. The next slide, please. What does CIECA do? I can give you what CIECA does from the perspective that I've been exposed to. CIECA does many things, but in its model, it encounters the computer systems to communicate electronically and enables, it defines business exchanges and defines data needs, creates and supports and an implementation guide for each standard message, one way to represent the data exchange. That type of standard, the uniformity, integration, and having it by message is just huge in stepping forward in exchanges of data. So CIECA has really, it provides many things in these steps that are identified here. They are really the bridge builder to the e-commerce and electronic exchanges of data for many players in the collision and those that are integral to the doing business with the collision industry. And next slide, please. ARA and CIECA challenges. We've discussed the challenges in procurement of messages. These are the challenges we met. The procurement of messages, the recycled part information, the need to include the specific recycled parts implementation guide, and the coordination to include ARA standards in the CIECA messages. these were the things we asked. The accomplishments to date and growing are, we do have the complete life cycle. We have from request for a quote, which is that is the quote that is coming from the estimating side, or in the industry we call them estimatic platforms, to the statement of payment, credit memos, all parts procurement messages, messages containing the standards, those standards that I just spoke of earlier. Those are now electronically integrated. The standard codes, they are integrated. The implementation guide. And then we talk about the business cases. These are the actual, and this is very beneficial because these are based on what we do. And often when the committee is on a call, it's asked of a recycler, well, tell me, what do you do when a part's returned? What happens when this happens? And from that, it's brought over and put into a context of a deliverable electronic message. Often the process is definitely something that for us who are doing it, it seems so much easier to say I print out a receipt, I hand it to the customer, or I send it over in an email. When that has to be stepped through and put into a standard, CIECA has provided excellent resource person who guides us through and who takes our abuse, as we often comment that the process is like watching paint dry. He ignores us and keeps working through, and the results are amazing that we do have a recycled parts presence in a complete life cycle in the collision estimating and repair procurement area. Next slide, please. What's coming ahead? Well, we've got continuing development, inquiry, and status procurement messages. We have ARA developed codes. These are the new ones in CIECA. Messages and ARA tools. These are the same things. These, like I said, this is alive now. This is not something that we review every 6 months. This is something that we look at and say, yes, this is what we developed, and bring it over to the CIECA side. Blending of the electronic commerce products into one electronic commerce product for the industry. I read that sentence and say, oh yeah, let's do that. That takes a tremendous effort by so many stakeholders, and it is the work that continues. Continued co-development of ARA and CIECA one standard vision, and that is the vision to have. The next slide, please. Okay, the future. What we are stepping into now is obviously.
I'll take over here. I'll take over from this point, Ginny.
Wonderful.
I want to thank you, Ginny, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. That was great. CIECA has prepared 5 additional CIECAcasts for the remainder of 2013. The first one, which will be next month in June, the next one, I should say, will be in June, which will talk about what is new in the 2013 R1 BMS Business Message Specification Release Package. We will have the scheduling committee, which is a brand new committee for 2013. They will be discussing what they are doing, their business plan, their vision, their mission, and talk about their first message development, which is great. Next, we will then have a procurement committee accomplishments. I think they felt it was important to let the industry know what they have accomplished and what they're looking forward to in the future. Next, CIECA is developing a new website for not only its members, but for educating the industry. That will be that will be available later this year, and we will have a CIECAcast on it. And lastly, will be the 2013 R2, the second release package for 2013 in the BMS, and what is involved, what is new in it, and so forth. Okay, we hope you attend those CIECAcasts, and find them informative. Next, I'd like to invite you to our 5th annual implementation conference in San Diego. A little bit different format this year. We've added an additional networking opportunity on Monday night in terms of a happy hour or hours from 6 to 8 p.m. We will have on Tuesday night the reception. Again, we will have, based on the feedback from prior implementation conferences, people like the separate business and technical tracks. We'll have, just to give you kind of a partial list of the program, there'll be a keynote by Microsoft. We have an implementation on and discussion on prospecting for gold within the estimatics data, a lot of data mining. We will have a panel discussion on parts procurement. We have a repairer, CIO of a large multi-shop operation, MSO, that just went through a huge enterprise-wide technology implementation, and they will be discussing that. We have an independent software company and consultant from them to talk about generating millions of ROI in e-commerce implementations. And then we'll also have moving to the cloud, a technical discussion, and also we'll be talking about the foundation for developing BMS web services. Again, a technical discussion. Okay, the thing is, there will be excellent opportunities, networking opportunities for everyone. So we will have something for everyone. The complete conference agenda will be available when registration is open on May 31st. We'll have a great lineup of speakers and topics, great location. Network opportunities at this conference are excellent, and we hope you attend. The partnership between ARA and CIECA has been very productive, as Jenny has actually told you, and it's beneficial to the organization and to its members. Both CIECA and ARA invite you to join us and be part of the action. Please consider joining either or both organizations if you're not already a member. Membership information is located on the respective websites. Visit the CIECA website in the next 2 or 3 days. There will be a link on the home page to this recording and the PDF of the slides. That concludes today's CIECAcast. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.